Oh wait, can you hear me? Oh, that's weird. That's weird. We should have had a VBS do it like microphone. All right, for the ones that don't know, that don't mess you up, there. That don't mess you up. For the ones that don't know, my name is David Kinslow. Um, I was born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, between Nashville and Ashton City. Um, from my childhood, I grew up with a very abusive dad. I used to watch him beat my mom, and some of the most memorable memories as a child is me jumping in her lap so he wouldn't shoot her. They got divorced whenever I was in like second grade. From that point on, um, I lived with my grandparents most of my life. My my dad moved on, and whenever I would go there on the weekends, I used to see him beat my stepmother. Um, for the most part, like I said, I live with my grandparents. They done their absolute best to raise me. I was not the easiest person to raise though. I had a lot of anger, a lot of resentment to any male authority of any kind. I despised you. If you asked me to do something, I'd do the opposite. If I knew it'd bother you, I'd do it just because I knew it'd bother you. Um, so, with my dad being the way that he was, um, for a short period of time, it kind of came to a slow. I'll say that. Um, we kind of tried to mend the relationship of some sort. I used to go to work with him a lot. It's probably the best thing that he ever did for me was take me to work. Taught me a lot. Um, we also used to ride dirt bikes together. But one day he had a really bad wreck, tore his knee, ACL, and it just. So, anyways, in that time, doctors just handed pills out like candy. Um, so then he became an addict, more so than he already was. Um, so because of that, once again, I just fell back with my grandparents. Um, my mother tried her absolute best. She was still somewhat young. My dad had controlled her mentally, physically, in every aspect. Um, if it wasn't to her likings, I mean to his likings, then she couldn't do it. Whether if it was clothes, her hair, speaking, whatever it might have been, he controlled every aspect of her. So shortly after they got divorced and all that, my mother was free, as they say. She had been underneath his authority for a long time. So, because I was with my grandparents, she started to live her life again. And because of that, I didn't see much of her. My grandparents, they worked for Reynolds and Reynolds a lot during this time, so they were hardly ever home. Um, and that left me, being a young teenage boy, to just run wild. Made my own choices, my own decisions. Um, I would tell them where I was, but it didn't really matter because I was never where I was. Um, so, anyways, to be just completely truthful, I started doing drugs in the fifth grade. Um, Started experimenting, things like that. By the time I was in eighth grade, I was getting drunk and popping pills to go to school while I was in school. Um, a bottle of water wasn't a bottle of water, it was a bottle of vodka. In about eighth grade is when that started. Um, so even whenever I went to school, I wasn't really there. It started young. Um, like I said, I didn't care for any male authority figure. Um, and school was full of them. So needless to say, I got kicked out of school quite a bit, mainly for fight and my mouth. Shortly after that, I started getting involved with gangs. I started doing a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing. Kind of comes with that lifestyle. Um, and just kind of keep in mind that throughout this time, all I kept, like, anytime my dad's name was brought up or mentioned or whatever, my response was, I hate that man. A lot of people that knew him for years didn't even know he had a son until I was about 16, 17. And the only reason why they found out then is because we were in the same areas. Um, by the age of 16, I had my first child. By the time, before she was a 1, I was in juvenile on her first birthday. It's actually where I seen her walk for the first time. By the time I was 18, I had my second child. And being that young, not having a dad, I didn't know how to be one. But I thought because I could buy them whatever they wanted, I was being a father. Um, but also because of the things I was doing, the things I was involved in, I didn't really get to see them either. Um, by the time I turned 18 in juvenile, I get out, and I want to do the right thing. Um, I lived with my grandparents for few months. Got a job, got some money, and then I moved right back to West Nashville. Comfortable. Love chaos. It's comfortable. Um, so obviously being around the same area, the same people, fall right back into the same old things. That area is a lot nicer than what it used to be. Um, a few years after that, I had my youngest son, Braxton, the one that is normally with us. Um, in the span of this, I, um, I had another moment where I'm going to do right. You know, I want to do right. I want to straighten up. So I went to Nashville Auto Diesel College, and I graduated somehow. I graduated. Um, but because I was a young man living on his own, trying to provide for kids that I had no business having, um, money was tough. It was tight. So I thought I was doing the wrong thing for the right reason. Um, I always thought I was safe until I wasn't. Um, I always just kept telling myself that, like, I want to be a better dad than the one that I had. Um, but I honestly, like, I focused on not being him so much to the point I became him, just like him. Very young, addict and alcoholic. Except for where he was just an addict, I wanted to do all of it. I wanted to be heavily involved in all of it. The chaos was comfortable. Um, I've been from here to the coast of California in some very, very dark places. Um, Fast forward a little bit to around 2017. I I racked up a bunch of charges, caught 3 DUIs, um, several drug charges, all within like a 3 month span. So then, like every addict and alcoholic, I'm gonna go to rehab. Courts love hearing that. Um, so that's what I did. Beginning of 2018, I go to rehab for the first time. Um, while I was out there, I started to learn some stuff about myself, stuff I didn't want to face, but it was there. So then, around, I don't know, probably July, August, somewhere in there, around 2018, whenever I finally decided to come back home um, from rehab. Um, you know, I was doing great. Everybody look at me, I'm doing great, right? I'm not doing this, I'm doing this. Um, but because of that, I was able to manipulate people even more than I did before. Um, I ended up running into some people that had to have some debt paid off, and you can only be around certain things for a certain amount of time before you fall right back in it. So the roller coaster ride started again. Um, Honestly, fast forward to 11/10/21. I was arrested, took to Wilson County Jail. Um, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. I bonded out the day before Thanksgiving. I ended up violating probation that I was already previously on. So, needless to say, I ended up going to jail. And the year that I was in jail was probably the best year I've had in my life. My mother knew where I was, my grandparents knew where I was, my family knew where I was. They they told me it was probably the most peaceful year of their life since I was about 13 years old. And I'm 33 now. So for a very long time, they couldn't sleep. They worried. I'd have random calls at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning from them because they heard of a shooting in Nashville, or they heard of a car wreck, or whatever. Um, but while I was in there, I had to reflect. It's about all you got time to do in there. That and a bunch of push-ups. So while I was in there, I honestly used the time for the best. I read, never read before, but I read. Um, Started to learn more about myself. Started to reflect more, truly reflect more. Dealt with some wounds I didn't want to deal with, but I didn't have a choice. What else I got to do? Right? Sit there and think and reflect. Um, and so since then, I've been clean and sober. Yeah, laying on a booking room floor on the cold concrete, and for the first time, money couldn't buy it out. My bond was too high. I had to show proof of the money, and there was no doing that. Had the money, no proof. So I had to sit, and I did. And for the first time in a long time, I prayed. And I just asked for another chance. And in 2018, I was pronounced dead twice. The doctors told me that I'd probably never talk or walk because of how long the oxygen was not in my brain. It took, for the ones who have knowledge of this, really understands, it took 9 things of Narcan to wake me up the first time. Even through continued CPR with that, I went back out in the ambulance, back out again at the hospital. But because my grandfather stood over top of me and the medics and wouldn't let him quit, I'm here today. He wouldn't let them quit, and God didn't take his hand off of me. He should have many times, but he never did. So almost 5 years ago, I was laying on the jail cell floor. If you would have told me I'd be standing where I'm standing 5 years later, almost 5 years later, I'd tell you you're lying. I've been far blessed more than I deserve. I'm literally living because of God. There's no medical reason why I am. I don't have a relationship with my father at all anymore. My earthly father. But I am gonna go see him because he's sick. And the last interaction, I don't want it to be, just to be very bluntly honest, me shooting him up with one of the last memories. I don't hate him anymore. It's a sick man. He's very sick. And there's not a soul on this earth that can help him. He knows God. He knows Jesus. But he refuses to live that way. In 2021, whenever I caught those charges, first offer was 20-something years in penitentiary. I told him no, I just kept praying. I did. Not for anything specific, just a second chance. Just another chance. Life, just another chance. And if it's in prison, then it's in prison. I had a good lawyer that fought for me. And because of prayer, mainly prayer, and him being able to speak for me, because I couldn't, I'm able to stand right here today. There's no doubt in my mind that Jesus has been with me through all of it. Because I shouldn't be standing here today. For a long time, I just asked God, why? Why do I suffer? Why am I this way? Why am I doing the things I'm doing? Why do I enjoy it? Why do I feel so comfortable here? It's just the product of my environment. It's the way I grew up. And what do they say? It ran in my family till it ran into me. And I just thank God for the opportunity that He's given me. And I feel God kept me alive through everything that He did for me to be able to help somebody that is in those dark places that I was once in. Because it's one thing for somebody with a bunch of letters by their name to tell you this or that. It's another one to hear it from somebody who's lived it, who's been there, and made it out. And it's all because of Jesus Christ. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have the people I have around me today, my brothers in Christ, especially the ones that don't give up or say, hey, I'm signing you up, you'll figure it out. And I did. And I thank y'all for that. Because I'm stubborn. Very stubborn at times. Today, I know it's materialistic. But we have bought a home, something I never thought I'd ever do. I'm actually a dad to my children. And even to my oldest two that were manipulated for years. Even they know the truth. And instead of hating me for the things that I did, because I wasn't the best father that I should have been, They know that. They know that I truly love them. They now know that if I say something, they can believe it. They now see the truth from the other side. And my wife played a huge part in that. To be a listening ear for my daughter. Because of her age. She's not a little girl anymore. She's 16. She grew up quick. But because of the tainted relationship, she doesn't feel fully comfortable with everything with me. But she'll pick the phone up and call Casey in a heartbeat. And it does. She told me the other day, she said, "Dad, I don't hate you. She said, I just have to protect my peace." And with her still living under her mother's roof, if she speaks to me where it's known, there's no peace for her. I'm just so thankful that she knows. But I'm also thankful that she's grown enough to know that, like, I'm not mad at her for her making that decision. At the end of the day, it's part of her story, not mine, and I can't save her from it. It's it's a wonderful thing that whenever she starts talking about something, she don't just say, "I've been thinking about." She'll say, "I've been praying about." And my oldest two, I know they love me. But I also know that in God's timing, it'll all work out. And it showed itself a lot. I'm still not perfect. I don't think any of us are. But there's this thing we have. It's called conviction. And when it's there, it's deep. I guess that's how I know I'm doing something right. It sticks and it dries pretty deep. So that's a blessing to feel that today over something so little. I can feel the conviction over it. Because it took me years to feel the slightest conviction over the darkest things I ever done in my life. And I just pray that I am able to truly help someone, because it's not all rainbows and butterflies. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but it's by far the best thing I've ever done in my life. I just thank God for my wife, my children, and in all honesty, for the unanswered prayers. He knew better than I did. And I'm so thankful for that. But anyways, I love you all and thank you.